VCRs were cool. They were. And I remember one year when I was growing up, we got a VCR on Christmas. That's right. There was one year that was our family Christmas gift. Because you know how sometimes if you make a major purchase, sometimes if your family makes a major purchase, sometimes that's like your family Christmas gift. And there was one year when I was growing up, we got a VCR on Christmas. That's right. Because that was like a major purchase for us. So this was in 1986 when we got a VCR. It was the first VCR we ever had. It was in 1986. So I would have been in 8th grade when we got it. 1986. December of 86. We got a VCR. So I was in 8th grade. I remember up until then, I always used to get laughed at school. People at school used to laugh at me because I didn't have a VCR. People would say, "You don't have a VCR? What's wrong with you? You don't have a VCR. Get out of here. Anybody has a VCR." So anyway, we didn't even have a VCR. We didn't have a VCR until 1986. Almost 1987 when we finally got a VCR. And some people, I bet there's some people who've still never had one. But that was a really big deal to us, getting a VCR. But what it was mostly used for was watching movies and taping stuff off TV. That's right. I remember one of the highlights of the VCR was to tape something off TV and then watch it backwards. That's right. That's right. We got a VCR and we would tape things off TV and then watch it. We would roll the tape backwards to see stuff happening in reverse. And one of the funniest things that happened, I remember one of the very first things we taped off TV. There was some show on TV that we taped, and we watched it. And the commercials. And guess what one of the commercials was? There was a commercial for bubble gum. That's right. It was carefree sugarless bubble gum. They had a commercial back then. And this was the one of the ones in the series where they would say it had a jingle that went feeling good about yourself, feeling carefree. That one. I think it was that one. But it was the one with the woman with dark hair. It was the one with the woman with dark hair. It was one of those series. She was in a bunch of those carefree bubblegum commercials back in the mid '80s. And I remember, and the funny thing is, those commercials were goofy. They were ridiculous. These commercials were ridiculous because she starts out like this. The woman with dark hair, she starts out like this. She says, "Hey, you know what? I avoid sugar, but sometimes I want," and there's a meaningful pause there. She says, "Sometimes I want bubble gum." It looks like she's about to burst into laughter, all because she mentions bubble gum. Because I guess she thinks it's funny or something. She says, "Sometimes I want bubble gum," like that. And at the end of the commercial, guess what she did? She bubbled. She did. She really did. So anyway, one of those commercials, it was on our. So we taped something off TV and had that commercial in it. So of course, naturally, we rolled the tape backwards. We rolled the tape backwards right at the end where she was bubbling. So it looked ridiculous. So she was going bubbling in reverse. She was bubbling in reverse. And we all burst into laughter when we saw that. She was blowing a bubble in reverse because we had the tape rolling backwards. She was going So normally she was going, but this time she was going, she was bubbling in reverse. And that commercial, it was full of a bunch of people engaging in various athletic activities and bubbling. And I think it's up on YouTube now. It is. It's up on YouTube. So mostly that VCR, we used it to watch movies or tape things off TV. My mom kept using it to tape All My Children off of TV every day. But so that's the story of the VCR. And I think the VCR, I think we had that about 7 years, that VCR. And then finally, I think it got fried because the power went out one day and it fried the VCR. So after that, the VCR was, it was, because there was one day where the power went out and the VCR was fried and even the TV was fried. A perfectly good TV that was probably about 10 years old. It was totally fried, destroyed. I mean, the TV worked great, and after that, it was just a pile of rocks after that. And what's amazing though is everybody acted like it wasn't a big deal. Everyone, like my mom, acted like it wasn't a big deal. She says, "Well, at least the insurance will pay for it." Yeah, but isn't there like a $500 deductible or something? So the TV was also. So we had a VCR Christmas. And there was one year we had a toilet Christmas. A toilet was our big Christmas gift. Actually, that wasn't our Christmas gift the one year. There was one year we had to install a new toilet, which probably ate up most of our Christmas budget. So that wasn't really our Christmas gift that year. So we didn't really have a toilet Christmas. It was probably more like a toilet Labor Day or a toilet Halloween or something. But that's the story of the VCR. And another time on the VCR, we taped something off TV, and one of the commercials, one of the commercials had nothing to do with Sesame Street. But there's a brief shot of Ernie and Bert, just for no apparent reason in this commercial. And that's what I remember about it. I said, what are Ernie and Bert doing this in this commercial? We had to slow it down and pause it. I'm like, yep, that's Ernie and Bert, all right. I don't see what they have to do with the rest of this commercial. So that's the story of the VCR.